What's going down, my YTG? It's your boy Hendrix. Welcome back to the channel. If you knew, what it do to you too. We got some shit to get into. Quick update though. This is like really, well, if I deliver this not excitingly, y'all would probably think I'm not excited, but I'm also like very excited. It may not seem like it, but bruh, next week I will be going to the USC game. I get to see Juju Watkins play in person. I'm just going to call this the Juju Watkins game because that's who I'm really going for. You know what I mean? Seeing Kiki Arifin, Tyler Von Offen, that's cool too. Watching a what do you call it? Like a top ranked matchup is dope, but bro, I'm really going for Juju Watkins. This is the first game I'm going to where it's like I actually want to go for that player. Now I did get to see Caitlin Clark live. But I kind of messed that one up because I bought like general admission tickets and I should have bought like reserve tickets. That shit was a hassle. But this is like the first game I'm going by myself. I'm going to vlog it. I'm not a vlogger, but I do like the times where I get to be super creative in my editing and, you know, basically putting out the video on YouTube. So the vlog is probably going to drop on Thursday, a day after the game. But I am going to take my time like editing the video. I like the time when I get to be creative and stuff with the videos, because usually this is like clip hunting and chopping. But anyway, I sense that y'all wanted me to kind of like talk about this topic and give my take on it, because y'all know I keep it like 100% real, raw, and authentic. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, this whole conversation of WNBA players versus NBA players. At first, I always find this conversation funny because, like, I realize now that I find it funny when I watch people who aren't really in women's basketball space, like just talk basketball with other like women's basketball players or like fans or whatever. I just find that funny because it's like they think they're like towing a disrespectful line, but it's like, no, you're just talking hoops, and that's where I think a lot gets lost. Now, to a lot of these women basketball fans, a lot of them gotta stop. Understand, like, especially as someone who's played, I'm like, I can tell by certain comments who's played this sport and who hasn't. And a lot of the time, even though, like, I promise you, we'll get into every facet of this. I'm gonna try to keep this video short, but for the women's basketball fans out there that keep pushing this and keep saying like, oh, there are some players that women's basketball players can dust. Sure, but we're not talking actual men's basketball players when we say that. So there are some women's basketball fans out there that just don't understand what the hell they're talking about. Okay? It's not even the players that are delusional, and I'll get to that. It's not the players that are delusional. Well, actually, I'll take that back. Some of the players I'm not going to defend, but for the most part, it's not the players that are delusional. It's just that some of these fans actually don't know what the hell they're watching when it comes. Most of y'all don't know what the hell y'all watching when it comes to this sport anyway. But most of these women basketball fans, most of these women's basketball fans don't know what the hell they're talking about, and also don't know what they're looking at. Because when they push this narrative, oh, there's certain W players that can probably play in the league, or certain players that can probably kick this player's ass and whatnot. And then obviously we'll get into the Asia Wilson, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart interview, where I see certain fans on social media talking about, oh, the best player here could probably take on this NBA player. And I'm just like, you're not helping. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're not helping. Now, if a WNBA player wants to come out and say like they feel like they have the ability, cool. Because you have to understand, like, no one should be against that either. Like, if there's a player out there, so let's just take the Asia Wilson situation. If I find the clip, I'll put it in the video. But basically, Asia Wilson was talking to Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, and Asia said something along the lines that she would beat Josh Hart like 11-7. It was like some friendly banter, sure, but it was also like awkward because Josh Hart was kind of being like tempered, right? Because he didn't want to cross a line that society would probably ridicule him for.
Score would be like 8 to 11. Me.
It's not that.
I get ball first.
You get ball first.
She does get ball
You're
first.
not gonna get it back. And you could, but that's gonna be your time. Like that's gonna be your period, which is fine. I'm not saying I'm gonna go like you gonna go scoreless, but 8 to 11, I feel like it's pretty solid. So what do you think it'll be, Josh? Don't piss me off. Do not piss me off.
I was just about to violate this. I'm about to say,
Right.
man, probably like 11 too.
You're sick. You're sick.
If Asia Wilson thinks that she could beat Josh Hart or beat an NBA player 1v1, that's good. I see that as good. Like if you think your abilities are to that, cool. That's like I think that's a good thing. Like I don't think that's a bad thing. That means that the top player in the W believes that her skills are at a point where she could compete with an NBA player. I'm pretty sure she knows what an NBA player is built like. I'll leave that comment alone. I'm pretty sure like she understands what she'd be getting herself into if they were to actually play. So for her to think that she has the ability to do that, I think that's a good thing. I think that's actually a good mark on women's basketball. You feel me? Now, secondly, I understand that Josh Hart is trying to navigate this line, and a lot of different men's basketball players are trying to navigate that line of not being disrespectful and being brutally honest. But if you're just talking basketball, you're fine. There is no line across. Like we talk shit to our friends in like when it comes to sports, video games, whatever. So if you're just talking the game, once again, it's fine. There's no disrespect line you have to cross. It's when you take it out of the context of that game, now you're gonna find yourself in some issues. You feel what I'm talking about? So if Asia Wilson is talking to an NBA player, she's just like, yeah, I can take you 1v1, I think I would win. If you're talking basketball, anything flies. So yes, Josh Hart doesn't, because it's going to look weird. Obviously, I understand how it's going to look. I understand how the scope's going to look. It's going to look weird if Josh Hart's like, oh, I'd beat your ass. Yeah, the public might not take it well, but if they're just discussing the game, 1v1 versus each other, and they're just like, you can't dribble, you can't go left, like the same banter we have when we're playing our friends and just regular basketball shit, that's not a problem, whether it's a women's player or a men's player, because you're just keeping it about the game, right? The only time that disrespect boundary pops up is when you take it outside of the context of the game. So shouts out to Jet Teague, and basically what he said, if I find a clip, I'll put it in the video right now.
I'm nothing. Ain't no girl ever beat me one-on-one on my mama. Girl beat me one-on-one, bro. I swear to God, I'd never pick up a basketball game.
You gonna overly play though.
Hey, yo, Prime, did somebody approach you like that?
Who?
Did somebody approach you? Like, you know, somebody was hooping for real, like,
A girl want to play me?
yeah.
Hell nah. I beat
He's too strong for that though. He gonna over. Like I said, he gonna
I heard
over.
Skylar Diggins try to say she could beat me before. Like, you're not even that good. I was like, girl, you can't score on UConn. What are you talking
That's when they
about?
stopped being cool.
I guess that's when that.
He was really mad about that.
I was. Her friend was over there. I think she might be. Nigga, I would kill both of y'all at the same time.
He was gonna try to dunk himself.
Yeah, like what?
That's what I'm saying. So you tested some niggas kind of like they're gonna overly play.
Yeah, I'm
just to prove a point.
Like I'm going to run you over, and then like not have no feelings towards you.
Her sternum up.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't think Jeff Teague was actually like trying to be. I don't know. It's weird because I don't actually think he was like trying to be sexist. I just think like he wasn't thinking about the way he was wording it, like how it would sound. Maybe he truly meant that, like maybe, but I also don't think like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he's that type of person. You feel what I'm saying? I just don't think he was like really paying attention to how he worded what he was saying. But using his words as an example, when you say things like, if a girl ever beat me at basketball, like I'd stop playing. I think that's what he said. He said, if a girl ever beat me at basketball, I'd stop playing. Now you're bordering the line of like sexist, misogynistic type comments. You get what I'm saying? Again, I'm not saying that that was Jeff Teague's intention. But when you say like if a girl beats me or a girl would never beat me, and like that's where you get borderline. You get what I'm saying? Because maybe I'm just alone here, but like if I had a girlfriend who played basketball and she could like actually give me a run for my money or beat me in basketball, I'd be happy. Because that would be one or two things. One, that means she's taller than me. And two, that probably mean we rich. I don't know what's all this like Ben hate about like women's basketball players being better than them. Like that's a bad thing. Like shit. I hope my girlfriend better than me at sports. Something like better than me at soccer, or tennis, or basketball. Please. I think I'm scared of being a WNBA husband or some shit, bruh. If you're getting paid, if you can beat me at ones, that means we getting money. That means we getting bread. So I'll leave that to y'all. The disrespect line only comes up when you make it about, I think when you make it about the woman. You feel what I'm saying? Where you bring the woman aspect into that, right? It's nothing if you're saying Asia Wilson says she could beat you. Now, if I'm Josh, I'll explain this. I'm going to put myself in Josh Hart's shoes, right? Asia Wilson tells me she could beat me 11-7. The first thing I'm saying back is, okay, I'm glad you think that, but you can't use your right hand. Sorry. Yeah, you can't use your right hand. You cannot go right. You are too left hand dominant. Everything I'm doing, I'm influencing you right. And first of all, what are you like? 6'4", 6'4"? Oh, how much Asia weigh? 210? 6'4", 220, 6'4", 210? How much Asia weigh? I don't know. 6'4", 212? And you pushing me off the block? Hell, I'm out here guarding Clint Capella and Jaylen Brown, and they weigh like 2 times your weight. Like, no, it's not happening. You can't dribble right. You can't shoot from the perimeter. You don't even have that, like your handle bag. You don't really have to skippity pats like that. You can't put it on, like you can't dribble the rock and you're going to beat me 11-7. I promise you it's not going down the way you think. See how that's just complete game? See how that's just banter? Like that's just banter. That's just basketball shit. Now, if Josh Hart, now let's say I'm Josh Hart again and I hear the same type of comments and I'm just like, oh, Asia Wilson would beat me, Asia Wilson says she would beat me 11-7. You're a WNBA player. Like, you can't hang with me because you're a WNBA player. You see, that's a different type of line. This whole conversation started up, this whole debate started up because someone said Bronny James versus Caitlin Clark, who would win? First of all, this Bronny James disrespect needs to stop, bro. Just let the kid rock, okay? Just let him rock. Let both of them rock, okay? Bringing up Caitlin Clark to try and insult Bronny James, and then bringing up Bronny James to try and like you're insulting, you're backhanding like women's basketball as well with that. Because the reality is, and I feel like Iman Shumpert laid this out perfectly for everyone. I'm just paraphrasing what he said, but he basically said, sure, there are probably some WNBA players that can hang with some of the NBA players, some of the men's NBA players, right? But he said, and he basically, again, I'm paraphrasing, but he's basically said the biggest difference maker, I'm not saying there aren't players that can't hang in the NBA with them, but the biggest difference maker is that physicality, right? There are plenty of WNBA players that could probably shoot better and dribble better than some NBA players. But what is the biggest difference maker in both games? It's the physicality, whether it's the height of the players, the strength of the players, the quickness, the speed, the agility of the players. The biggest difference maker between both games is the physicality. There's nothing wrong with saying the men's game, they are 3 times, 5 times more athletic than women's basketball players, than the average women's basketball player, or than the average WNBA player. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's the exact reason, the exact purpose of my channel. Yes, the players, we've gone through more evolutions in terms of the men's basketball athlete. But when it comes to men's basketball athlete, they're here. Women's basketball athlete is right here. Which is why I'm like, the entire purpose of this channel is to say there are certain things that go into why the men's basketball athlete is up here. The resources, the time, obviously, the training. You get what I'm saying? Well, All of that is really resources, but there are different resources that go into the men's game to get them to where they are, the heights that they are now. A guard, what's the average height in the NBA? 6'6", 6'6", 6'7", and they're only getting taller. The height that goes into the game, the agility that's in the game, the athleticism, all that stuff that's in the game, right? All that stuff that gets poured into the game. While on the women's basketball side, you don't have a lot of those same resources going into the game. So I'm not saying the athletes from the games would be on the same level, but I am saying if you were to start training some of these women's basketball players and basically allowing the progression of the women's basketball athlete by using some of the same resources, if not different resources, to put into the women's game, there would be a closer gap there would be a margin in the physicality gap between both athletes. I really hope that makes sense. As of right now, you should not be expecting any women's basketball player or any WNBA player to hang with the men's player when the level of athlete is just too far from each other. It's just too far from each other. That has nothing to do with skill. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not even talking about skill right now. I'm just talking about their physical makeup. The different levels, they're too far. They're too far right now. The majority of the women's basketball environment and culture is really negative, and that's changed immensely in this past year, but it still is negative. There's still a niche of like negativity. But I really want people to understand that like the women's basketball athlete, you gotta pour into the game, man. You have to pour into the game. There's nothing wrong with saying like where the men's athlete now is just miles ahead of the women's athlete. There's nothing wrong with saying that. Yes, there will always be that scientifical difference between us. Yes. But at the same time, there are other factors that go into why the men's athlete is so far from the women's athlete. Now, the end goal isn't to have WNBA players in the NBA. That's not the goal. Let me reiterate that point. That is not the goal of the WNBA. It's not the goal of women's basketball to get women's basketball players in the NBA. That's not the goal. The goal is to get the WNBA to the same heights as the NBA. That's my take on this entire conversation. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comment section. It's been your boy Hendrix. Take care of yourselves. Stay blessed. Stay safe. Peace.